What's good, YouTube? It's your boy OG Boy back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing the same team as I have the past couple times, but I promise this is the last time and I'm finally going to put this team to rest. But this team was able to get me onto the leaderboards, as you see here, and to expert rank as well. So those are two pretty big milestones for the season, so I figured, I'd show the set that took me to that point. So yeah, let's get into these battles. So honestly, these battles were pretty like RPS, or I just had like team comp advantage. So like no like plays that were super fancy or anything like that. But yeah, it's kind of a lot of people's problems with double charm teams is they think it takes no skill and that sort of thing. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like double charm, requires a lot of skill or as much skill as other teams, but it definitely still does require some thought. It's just that because your team relies on fast move pressure, that the amounts of decisions that you have to make is a lot more minimized. So hopefully, if you watched my other videos explaining like the thought process and playing through those matches, you kind of see like how to leverage the fast move damage. But yeah, being on the leaderboards has been pretty interesting because it's kind of hard to climb once you're on the leaderboards, because if you think about it, there's a lot of players that are have less elo than you versus players that have more elo than you. So even if you go like 2-3 and then 3-2, you usually end up going negative because you're matched with more people who have less rating than you than have more rating. So then like you end up at a net loss, even though you're technically even on the games. So yeah, and then a lot of times too, it's like I'm playing the same players like 2 to 3 times within the whole 5 sets. So like I know their team, they know my team, and it's just like whoever's team comp is better is like the one that gets the win. So yeah, it's been a pretty interesting experience to say the least. But yeah, getting into these battles, Steelix lead here, we have, we win that lead pretty easy, and then we also win this swap. But the thing with this is you actually have to shield once here, because if you try to farm all the way down and you don't shield a move, on the PV poke simulations it says that you survive with 2 HP, but obviously that's IV dependent on like your Togekiss and their Gyarados, so it's safer to just shield there. And they bring the Steelix back in, and getting off this flamethrower is pretty helpful because it'll put it into Hydro Cannon range by the time you get all these charms off. And at this point, I'm just gonna stay in and let him farm me all the way down, because the energy isn't really gonna go that long of a way on my Swampert, and I need the alignment because I don't want my Sylveon on this thing. And at this point, like, it's just straight RPS, right? Like, we won the lead, we won the swap, we won the ending matchup, so that's a GG's. So this is a really tough lead for our team. It's kind of similar to the Walrein one, where you really have to chip this thing down and then swap into your Sylveon to kind of hopefully finish it off. But if they swap out, it's also pretty hard because they're going to have the Lapras for the back, like the ending matchups. So here I play this pretty poorly because they shield the first Earthquake, and I'm thinking right now that I have to chip this thing, but the whole point of playing an ABB team is that you swap out so that you can bait something that's strong against the Charmers out, and then use your Swampert to take those out, right? But at this point, and it's lagging a little bit here, geez, maybe pause and it'll help for a sec. But when you when you play ABB, you need to bait something out that your Swampert can take care of. But because my Swampert's so low at this point, I figure like I just have to throw everything I have at this Lapras here and hope that whatever's in the back is weak against Charm. But as you're gonna see here in a second, they're gonna bring in a Muck, and that's basically GG's, because like it's just gonna sweep both my Pokemon. No point in staying in that. Alright, next match we see the Muck in the beginning, which is exactly where we want to see it, and then they swap in the Gallade, which basically like completely gets walled by my Togekiss since we're double resisting all the charge moves. And we're just gonna farm this thing all the way down. So they're probably gonna bring the Muck back in to farm this down, and we're gonna get to a flamethrower, which is pretty helpful for us because this puts it in Hydro Cannon range, so we don't have to like build up to an earthquake and or anything like that. Jeez, these things are laggy. So speaking of lag though, the lag has been terrible in GBL lately, and I've actually been affected by it too. And especially where a lot of these games that I've been playing lately, being on the leaderboards, require like one fast move of a difference or just like very critical timing. It's really kind of been a pain to play. But yeah, at this point though, we're in a pretty solid position. Like, you already know what we gotta do, just straight charm this thing down, and it's a GG's, like double shield if we have to. And yeah, that's basically the game. And kind of to go back to the whole RPS thing, and like I have had sets like while playing recently that have been like 05. Like I think I've gone 05 twice, and even though you'll see like me RPS and everyone in this video, you do get RPS too. And yeah, for those of you guys who don't know what RPS means, it just means rocks, paper, scissors. So it's just like you have the alignment on them, like you hard counter them everywhere, and then that's it. Like you beat them everywhere essentially. So yeah, this match, kind of the classic like chip them and then dip. So we chip them and then we safe swap into our Togekiss to bait something out. And in this case, it's the Crobat. And you can actually win this if they don't shield this, and then you invest the shield, I believe. Or at least in some scenarios you can. Because they did buff the Ancient Power. They changed the base damage from 45 to 60. But this is fine for us too. So we know we just have to bring the Swampert in here, and one Hydro Cannon will take this thing out. I'm expecting a Poison Fang so I don't shield there. But honestly, even if it was a Shadow Ball, I still wouldn't have wanted to shield that. Because I'm thinking that the health on my Sylveon is very valuable, because it should have a decent time against their Sylveon and whatever's in the back. But it ends up being a... what's this? An Escavalier, which is pretty bad for us. I mean, it's not the worst situation since we're up a shield going into this matchup, but they do shield the Moonblast. And at this point, I know that my win con has to be the Swampert, so I'm just going to let this Sylveon go down and save the shield for the Swampert. Because at this point, as you can see, they're at 2 moves, so even if I shielded the first one, they were going to throw this one and then counter me down anyways. And now I just have to get to a Hydro Cannon on the Sylveon, and then another Hydro Cannon on the Escavalier. So thankfully we are able to just barely reach it, and yeah, we take this game. So this set ended up being a 4-1, and it was enough to get me to expert rank, and it put me onto the leaderboard. And I've still been playing this team the past few days, and the peak elo that I've reached so far is like 28, 30 something. And I've been kind of like on and off the leaderboard, depending on like when it updates and what my elo is at the time when it updates and that sort of thing. So yeah, definitely a strong team. If you're looking to climb some elo, this team is definitely very strong. And like I said before, because it does minimize a lot of decision making you have to like do, I guess, it's pretty easy to pick up, and you can definitely pick up a lot of wins with it. So yeah, that's all for today's video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.